Hello everyone, my name is William Parsons. Through education and experience, I'm an operations manager that has provided oversight and leadership for manufacturing startups and turnarounds, both here in the U.S. and abroad. From idea to implementation, I've worn every hat in the business and grown grassroots efforts into active, growing, viable businesses that support many families and help out the U.S. economy. Today's topic is titled Import Strategies for SME, that's small to medium-sized enterprises, manufacturers, enhancing competitiveness in global markets. This is an entry-level presentation that targets students, entrepreneurs, and small to medium-sized business owners who want to gain a competitive advantage by strategically sourcing materials. I will use my past experience to explain economic principles, along with offer practical advice that will help you. The main question for this slide is, how can import strategies give a competitive advantage? Import strategies involve decisions made by manufacturers regarding the sourcing of inputs, components, or machinery from global markets to enhance competitiveness. In many industries, there is an overcapacity of manufacturing capability worldwide. Using strategic suppliers gives businesses access to expertise, machinery, and materials, thus saving the business owners capital and time and allowing them to concentrate on the most critical aspects of any small business, which tends to be research and development, cash flow, marketing, and sales. Even if your goal is to source from your own home country, you must understand that there are materials, machinery, and expertise that may not be available and accessible in the U.S. For example, in my current role, we provide research and development with regard to plant-based proteins to food companies worldwide. The equipment and expertise to operate the equipment come mainly from Australia, Germany, and Italy. Without this equipment and expertise, we cannot provide a service for our customers. We often import equipment and fly in a technician from the supplier to run sensitive experiments. Example 2. To design and manufacture fly rods for the Beulah Fly Rod Company, I needed access to composite engineers for research and development and the most advanced graphite available. As a small company, I could not afford a composite engineer, nor could I know how the graphite market worked. I had to rely on others to provide that knowledge, and that came from a company in China that specializes in fishing rods and other sports equipment. In this case, research and development were done in the U.S., the graphite came from Japan, the cork from Portugal, and the rods were manufactured and assembled in China and sent to the U.S. and U.K. by air cargo for distribution. In both examples above, neither U.S. business would be able to exist without utilizing resources that existed outside the U.S. Understanding how to source goods globally is becoming fundamental to the manufacturing sourcing of products. Many times there's no alternative. This presentation will help explain some of the economic fundamentals of creating an import strategy. Okay, section 2, understanding sunk costs and opportunity costs. Sunk costs are costs that have already been incurred and cannot be recovered, regardless of future decisions. An example of sunk costs for a manufacturing company could be the investment in specialized equipment or machinery that becomes obsolete or unusable due to changes in technology or market conditions. During the several times I watched the show Shark Tank, the sharks have always rejected the notion of investing in property, plant, and equipment. These inputs are very expensive, lack scalability, and most of the time are unnecessary purchases. The sharks already have trusted, established suppliers they can utilize, which is one of the main reasons to bring them in as partners. It's very common for businesses to invest in expensive equipment only to find a better way to produce in just months after it was purchased. Throughout my career, that has been the recurring theme. Just 6 months ago, we helped an Icelandic company purchase a $160,000 Australian machine for manufacturing process we were developing. Once we proved the process worked and the machinery here in the U.S., we shipped the machinery to Iceland. Before the equipment arrived in Iceland, we had already found a more successful way to create the separation using technology that was cheaper and more efficient. The $160,000 decision represented a sunk cost to the Icelandic company. A better decision would have been to lease the equipment, knowing we were going through an evolutionary phase. Entrepreneurs can be very creative people. It is common to find ways to enhance the product, which can change the way the product is produced. In cases of new ideas and rapid development, it is often better to use the existing capabilities of others. Sunk costs are considered sunk because they have already been expended and cannot be recovered, regardless of the company's future decisions or actions. In the eyes of the economist, sunk costs should not influence the company's decision-making going forward, as they are irrelevant to the current situation. In the eyes of the business owner, sunk costs represent money that could have been used in other areas that are more important for the business, such as inventory, payroll, and marketing. Opportunity costs in material sourcing. So opportunity costs refer to the value of the next best alternative foregone when a decision is made. For instance, a manufacturer may have the option to source a critical raw material domestically at a higher cost or internationally at a lower cost. By choosing to import the material, the manufacturer saves on immediate expenses but must also consider the opportunity costs associated with potential benefits or drawbacks of sourcing internationally. In my experience, when purchasing internationally, the price is typically based on volume. For example, finding the economic order quantity will in a large part be based on shipping. From mainland US to Eastern Europe, when I shipped container quantities by sea, I would factor in 1 month from port to port. This, combined with the lead time for the factory to make the material and the inventory and safety stock in the factory, meant I was typically holding 3 to 4 months of inventory at any one time. This was problematic during times of rapid growth or global disruptions, such as the Russian financial crisis in 1998, which halted all sales. Because of importing requirements, I had to tie up more money in inventory. I also had the risk of that inventory investment becoming a sunk cost by becoming obsolete, damaged, or unsellable. Typically, but not always, it is in the individual's interest to source the materials and concentrate their effort on sales, distribution, and listening to the market before they invest in property, plant, and equipment, incurring huge sunk costs. While importing may give a cost advantage, you also must factor in all the costs associated with that purchase. Understanding opportunity and sunk costs allows SME manufacturers to make informed decisions about import strategies by focusing on the relevant costs and benefits. By considering the total cost of importing, SMEs can optimize their import strategies to maximize competitiveness and efficiency. Okay, slide number 3. What are the key economic issues and benefits of import strategies? Let's start with comparative advantage. Access to specialized inputs allows SMEs to leverage their principle of comparative advantage, whereby countries specialize in producing goods or services with a lower opportunity cost. By importing specialized inputs, SMEs can focus on their core competencies and allocate resources more efficiently, leading to increased productivity and competitive. Such purchases include raw materials, components, or machinery that may not be available domestically or available at a higher cost elsewhere. Next bullet point, efficiency and resource allocation. Cost savings from import strategies reflect improvements in efficiency and resource allocation within SME manufacturing operations. By sourcing inputs globally, SMEs can optimize their production processes, minimize capital expense, and the purchasing of excess machinery, reducing waste, minimizing costs, leading to enhanced competitiveness and profitability. And the last bullet, trade and comparative advantage. Market expansion through import strategies aligns with the principles of trade and comparative advantage, whereby countries specialize in producing goods or services for which they have a comparative advantage. Import strategies enable SMEs to tap into global markets and capitalize on comparative advantages, driving economic growth and competitiveness. By importing goods or components abroad, SMEs can diversify their product offerings, allowing entry into new markets and the ability to capitalize on international demand opportunities. An excellent example is a door manufacturing startup in Latvia, small country bordering Russia. I imported interior molded door skins from the parent company, which is one of 2 major manufacturers in the world, utilizing local labor, locally sourced raw materials, and production processes that are proven efficient and successful in the U.S. operations. Our team created a comparative advantage which led to export opportunities throughout Eastern Europe. the former Soviet Union, and Russia. This led to further investment and expansion directly into Western Europe. This slide addresses the key economic issues related to the benefits of import strategies, emphasizing how access to specialized inputs, cost savings, and market expansion contribute to SME competitiveness and economic growth. Creating opportunities and avoiding risks. In this section, we delve into the crucial aspects of creating opportunities and mitigating risks when developing import strategies for SME manufacturers. First bullet, market analysis and demand forecasting. Conducting thorough market analysis enables us to identify opportunities for importing specific inputs or products. By assessing market demand and trends, conducting competitor analysis, and forecasting future demand, we can pinpoint growth opportunities in target markets. Supplier selection and due diligence. Establishing criteria for selecting suppliers based on quality, reliability, pricing, and responsiveness is paramount. Conducting due diligence on potential suppliers helps verify their credentials, capabilities, and compliance with regulatory requirements, mitigating risks associated with supplier reliability and performance. Make sure you have boots on the ground, tour the facilities, and look at the other brands and products being made. Logistics and supply chain management. Developing efficient logistics and supply chain networks is essential to minimize transportation costs and optimize efficiencies. In many cases, the supply chain costs can cost more than the materials shipped. This involves identifying transportation modes, routes, and delivery schedules, and later implementing inventory management systems and supply chain technologies to improve the visibility and traceability of imported goods. Regulatory compliance and trade documentation. Understanding complying with regulatory requirements and trade documentation procedures is critical for smooth import operations. This includes customs clearance, tariffs, and import duties. Seeking assistance from trade experts or consultants can help navigate complex regulatory frameworks and ensure compliance to avoid delays or legal issues. Risk assessment and mitigation strategies. Identifying potential risks such as supply chain disruptions, quality control issues, or currency fluctuations is vital. Implementing risk mitigation strategies such as contingency planning or hedging against currency risk minimizes adverse effects. Cost-benefit analysis and financial planning. Conducting a comprehensive cost-benefit analysis helps assess the financial implications of importing. This includes upfront costs, ongoing expenses, and potential cost savings. Developing a financial projections and budgets ensures effective resource allocation and viability of import strategies while evaluating the ROI and profitability, which guides informed decision-making and prioritization of import opportunities. Addressing each criterion outlined on this slide is essential to navigating the complexities of import strategies. While challenging, the rewards of diligent planning and execution can yield significant advantages for SME manufacturers. Remember, perseverance in the face of adversity often protects and enhances the advantages gained through the import process. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. This slide's titled Best Practices. I will offer highly subjective wisdom based on my personal experience. Treat your vendors well. When you import, your vendors determine your competitive advantage. So show appreciation, show customer reviews, make sure they understand the business you are in, make sure to build relationships, know your vendors better than you know your customers. For example, at Beulah Fly Rods, we would share pictures of the fish our customers were catching with a manufacturer in China. The engineers in China panicked as they pictured smaller fish that are common table fare. When they saw a picture of a world record rooster fish caught on a Beulah fly rod, they invested in a robust R&D jig and testing program. We also brought hats and t-shirts and took the time to teach them to catch fly rods so they could understand what we were designing. No one has ever done that with them before. Follow the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. It's impossible to understand everything going on in the vendor country. If you are nice and respectful, you establish relationships, your vendors will help you. In most cases, they are already export experts, and can help out tremendously by answering questions about the documentation requirements and clearing of goods. Try to avoid contracts through better negotiation practices. Unless contracts become important, stay away from them. Supplier diversification. It is better to diversify by region for various products than to diversify suppliers for a single product. If you play suppliers off each other, you will lose. Unless you're purchasing commodities or a multinational corporation, if you don't have your suppliers back, they will not have yours, and guarantee they will have bigger and better customers than you. Try to be their favorite customer. Study Edward Deming if this does not make sense. Don't negotiate something impossible to deliver or you cannot act on. If it's too good to be true, it always is. This is my advice and it has served me well. The world has become very small. Your actions can reverberate around the industry and impact your ability to do business. This presentation has shed light on the role import strategies play in enhancing the competitiveness of SME manufacturers. By strategically sourcing materials and components, SMEs can leverage specialized expertise and cost efficiencies, ultimately driving growth and profitability. Understanding the economic principles behind sunken opportunity costs, comparative advantage, efficiency in resource allocation, and market expansion is beneficial for SMEs looking for competitive advantage. By embracing import and sourcing strategies and navigating the associated risks and opportunities, SMEs can position themselves for success at home while opening up market opportunities abroad. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions related to manufacturing operations management, procurement, including import and export strategy, I can be reached at the email address below.